Welcome to Conversations with Healers, a podcast and video interview series that features intimate, soulful, and cozy conversations with self-healers and healers. Healer to healer, we dive into all aspects of self-healing and healing, and being and becoming a healer. I am Damla Aktekin. I am a healer and the host of this podcast, and I can't wait for you to listen to this conversation. If you are new to this podcast, please take a moment to subscribe so that you can be aware of new episodes. I also invite you to visit adropofom.com, adropofom.com, where I share a lot of free resources for self-healing and healing, and you can take a free quiz to find out what your energetic wounds are and how they may show up in your life. Discovering what your wounds are is the first step in healing them. I hope you enjoy this episode. There is one more thing I would like to share with you before you listen to this episode. I created a wonderful container to help you heal your energetic wounds and activate the infinite light and potential of your inner children. It is a crystal energy healing membership called Chakra Bliss Vault. Every month, you will receive 3 new crystal healing sessions. Plus, you'll immediately have access to my entire energy healing recording library when you sign up. The membership is really affordable and will continue to be so. You can find out more about it at adropofom.com, adropofom.com. I invite you to make healing your energetic wounds and connecting with your inner children a priority and invest in your well-being by becoming a Chakra Bliss Vault member. Hello everyone, this is Damla Aktekin. I'm an inner child energetic wound healer, crystal healing teacher, soul healing writer, an intuitive reader, and an astrologer. And this is a solo episode where I give you a little update of what's happening in my own healing journey, in my own learning journey, as well as the process that I'm going through, what's happening in my business. So all of the above and then some. So we'll dive into all of this. I do have a sense of what I want to cover, but I might jump from topic to topic. So please bear with me. And at the beginning of this year, I had another solo episode and I said I would love to give you more frequent updates and preferably shorter updates. But it just so happens like the first 3 months of 2024 have felt like a year to me and were and have been super intense. So I do have a lot to share because of that. So as I was thinking about what wants to be shared with you, I had quite a few things coming up, especially, there have been a lot happening in the past 3 months astrologically. We are in Pluto in Aquarius. We just had the new moon solar eclipse that was fully visible in the US and quite close to where I live. In the Northeast. And then there have been just powerful transition upon powerful transition. And I'm not going to go into the details of all of that, but I just, and you don't have to know about astrology to feel the intensity. You can simply look at what has been happening for you in January, February, March, going into April, and see, like, has it been intense? Have there been things and patterns coming up again and again? Have there been things hitting you from inside or outside? And there's certain themes that happen for all of us. For me, it's relationships and my relationship patterns, but I will get to that in due time. I think first I want to start with this idea of being and becoming that became very clear to me the first half of the, the 3 months. I was listening to this podcast that talked about having a rebuilding year in the sports teams. So certain sports teams occasionally they take a year off of recruiting new people or investing in more resources. What they do is they lean on rebuilding their structures, retraining their existing members, or even getting in young people into the team. So this idea of rebuilding. And I felt like, oh, wow, that's what I've been doing. And as I looked at what I have been doing for the better last half of last year, like October to now, October 2023 to now, even the parts about me rebuilding my website, thinking certain things in my healing business, in my life, it felt like this energy of revealing and recreating how I want to experience certain things and what I want to build in life. What that means is, though, I do see quite fewer clients. I don't do as many launches, or I don't put out as many new products or services or online courses out there because I have been pretty busy. And the busy part of that is conscious. It's not like a busy, busy, busy just for the sake of being busy, but it also involves a lot of deep self-healing and reflection, a lot of looking at what I've been even considering as progress, as success, and to be perfectly honest, like what it all means for me. Why am I even doing this thing that I'm doing where I show up to the internet, show up to you with healing offers and things and whatnot? And what am I even doing with my life? So the part that feels very clear to me is this is my path. This path of being here for you for life and being a conscious supporter of healing energetic wounds. I feel like I do have quite a few different things that I offer, from intuitive readings to a crystal healing membership to online courses to inner child crystal healing sessions. So all of those, to me, they actually fall under the very simple full umbrella of energetic wound healing. What that means is, though, underneath all of that, for me, it's become this idea of seeing um, what progress means, or in more traditional terms, what success means. And I found myself having to redefine that quite a bit last year and this year, with the idea that, okay, so I am a healer. Who am I when I'm not seeing clients? Because I am busy rebuilding myself and my business in a way that feels more soul aligned for me. And who am I when my post doesn't get likes? Who am I when not many people listen to an episode of my podcast, and so on? Or when they do listen, or when they do come in, and when they do book those astrologic readings with me or inner child healings with me. In both of those, what I've came to realize is it has my definition of success and my sense of satisfaction has absolutely nothing to do with any of those things. It has nothing to do with how many people visit my website, how many of you listen to this podcast, because um, the picture that I kept coming back again and again and again as the definition of success is, it's the end of the day. I am sitting on our couch, and as I sit there, and I'm watching the golden rays of the sunset that hit my living room every evening. I mean, it's just so beautiful. My backyard is full of trees and I see this beautiful light coming in. And as I am sitting there, am I able to be okay with everything? Am I able to say, I did everything I could today, both for me, my family, my business, my community, what have you? Did I do everything I could do today? And am I okay with and happy with what I've already created? Um, and the answer for me is yes. The answer or the feeling that I want to get on the majority of my days is yes. When I sit down on my couch, I want to feel no resentment, no doubt, no not thinking I could have done, should have done this or that, or I could have done more, I could have done less. I just want to feel okay with where I am at the end of the day. So that's my new definition of success that I'm working with. And that goes hand in hand with my other definition of success, which I feel like I've shared here, but I'm going to repeat. And that's something I've been sharing with my daughter, which is that success means being so centered within yourself. And that's perhaps the definition of success for me throughout the day. So, that definition of success means you're being so centered and grounded in yourself that you know when something doesn't feel good in your body and you move away from that, or you look at it and you discern your patterns, you heal your patterns, you heal the inner child that's getting activated, and then you put boundaries or you take a different course of action. So, what doesn't feel good, you move away from and you put boundaries around. And what feels good, more expanded, more juicy, more aligned, more caregiving to you, you move towards that. And this goes for you, for your relationships, for your family, as well as for your business. And then you say, okay, for me to be able to do this, for me to stay that much grounded, what do I need today? What do my inner children need today? What can I give them? How can I give it to them? Can I maybe prepare my water that I'm going to drink in advance? Can I prepare my protein shake the night before? And so on. So that brings me to this beautiful, evolving definition of being and becoming. So perhaps the picture of me on the couch, and you might have a different picture of what that looks like for you. For me, the couch picture is about being and being here and saying, okay, this is okay. And perhaps adding a little bit more gratitude and just forgiveness of yourself and others and adding a little bit of care there so your beingness is okay. And then the becoming part of it is as you are going through your day, who are you becoming as you take those actions towards a certain thing in your business or your life or otherwise? Who are you becoming? So, with that next step, next choice, are you happy with the person you're becoming? Are you happy with the types of your relationships you're inviting into your life? Are you happy with what your thoughts are doing? Are you going into, again, resentment, disappointment, unfulfilled expectations, and this or that, versus um, would you be willing to see things differently? Would you be willing to open up to a different paradigm, a different understanding of your life? And what this all is leading to me towards in my life and business is, first of all, a deep understanding that there are certain things I just don't want to do in my life anymore. Certain type of relationships, certain type of situations that suck my energy, even things like committing to certain things um, that require me to expand way too much energy, and saying no to those, even though they might feel like opportunities, thinking of the cost of what that might mean for my energy and for my body. And the idea there becomes, what if I could do less, but do it more deeply? What if I could do less and deepen it, deepen my engagement, deepen my care, deepen my taking care of my needs, deepen how I structure my business into just what I love, just what I love, and just what makes most sense to me in terms of offering that healing and offering that love in all towards you and towards my clients, and taking my time with it, taking my time with um, realizing when at certain points I get activated, my nervous system gets activated, it's available to me to pause and say, like, ah, okay, maybe I can do a crystal healing now. Maybe I can take like a mini power nap, like a 15-30 minute nap. Maybe I can just get myself outside. So allowing myself those opportunities of really deeply, truly taking care of myself and my nervous system. So this part is, deeply personal to me, although I'm not going to go into details, but ever since October of 2023, when we had the other solar eclipse, which is, by the way, another thing you can look at what has been happening in your life since last October, going into this April and beyond. What have been some of the things you've been learning and rediscovering or discovering about yourself, about your relationships, your career, your life, your wellness. And for me, it has been about relationships. Since October, I would say even September, I have been on this journey of shedding, redoing, rebuilding, and reevaluating every single relationship that I have. And that went from um, changing my doctor to changing my wet to letting go of a healer. And this was someone I trusted, but they showed me their real intentions and the energies underneath. And I was like, oh, okay, thank you for this listen, and letting them go. Looking at my family relationships, where am I overdoing, overgiving, overextending myself? Looking at relationships of where I've been holding off and perhaps not telling the truth of something, looking at relationships of groups that I am in. Do they still feel aligned, or is there something there that is not aligned for me? And it has been quite difficult and intense because I had to come face to face with a lot of things. The first one being realizing how much of an overgiver I am. And the second one being how much I put on expectations onto people where they were not able to fulfill them. Like there would be no way they could be able to fulfill them. And the third one being how much of a positive, um, looking at things with pink glasses, rose glasses, and saying, oh, I see the full potential of that person, this situation. I mean, and just seeing the full potential and not willing to be acknowledging and seeing the not so great things about that person, situation, or relationship, or that group that are actually affecting me directly, negatively in the moment. So I had to come face to face with myself. So, talking about the expectations part of it, the wish is for a lot of us moving through healing our energetic wounds, or if you've had energetic wounds, going back to your childhood and beyond. Um, there's the sense that, and again, for me, there's the sense that you see the full potential of what you need and how you need it from that particular person, situation, or group. And they're just not able to do that for you. Um, that for me was a hard lesson because and it's not the fault of that other person or the group. And I'm talking about, these could be like spiritual group, these could be work groups, this could be friend groups, family groups. I'm not going to go into the particulars of that, but let's just say that it's not their fault. These, energy structures of people or beings, it's just what they are. But it was me who was saying, there was this children's book that I used to read to my daughter, which went, there's this duckling looking for his mom, and he keeps saying, like he sees a truck on the road and he says, "Are you my mother?" And then he's this huge rock and he goes, "Are you my mother?" He sees a tree and he goes, "Are you my mother?" And of course, none of these things could be his mother. And the mothering falls to you. The mothering, the meeting of your needs falls to you. What came through that for me is, and has been, this deep sense of grief and sadness for what isn't there and what will never be there. Um, and if you are feeling a similar sense of um, lesson and pattern in your life right now, I just want to say I feel you and hear you completely, because this is hard. This part is hard because before you can get to the meeting of the need, to filling yourself up, you got to feel the grief. And the grief has been showing up for me in different ways. Part of that grief is feeling left out. Part of that grief is not feeling seen, heard, understood, and loved as I need to be loved. Part of that grief is knowing that I have all this love to give and all this connection potential to create with people. But there are always going to be people, beings, or situations that are not ready, willing, or able to accept and receive me as I want and need to be received. And that's hard. That's very difficult. And what I am doing in my life to be with that is, first of all, I am redefining my boundaries. And it doesn't have to be that you don't have to say anything to a particular person, even. The way I've been practicing it is, well, there have been, I should say, step back. There have been situations where I did need to speak up, and I did, and I'm very proud of all that. But it could also be like in certain relationships. For me, at least, when I realized, I was like, whoa, here, take this, take that. Here's more of me, and I'm not receiving anything. I just silently pulled my energy back to myself. And I was like, oh, I could do that. I'm allowed to do that. Great. That's wonderful. And that to me is also goes with the doing less part. It's sometimes love doesn't mean that you're always available, you're always doing, and you're always giving. Love could be you pulling your energy back, that so that you have more of you available to you. And when that situation, that friendship, that group or another group or another friend wants really truly wants to connect with you, you have something to give them rather than operating from being super overextended and all over the place and all of those things. No, no, no. Just pulling the energy back inside the body. I have been leaning on my healers, the healers that I trust. I have been leaning on spiritual groups that I love and trust. I have been leaning on, well, one of the spiritual groups I absolutely love is, I just want to give them a shout out. The group of women that I went to Egypt with, they have been there for me in a big way. So I really love them and appreciate them. So big shout out to my Egypt soul sisters. I have been leaning on friends. I've been leaning on my family, my husband, even my daughter. I was talking to her about some of this stuff. And she's 12. And she turned to me and said, Mom, I think you should advocate for yourself. And I was like, wow, who are you? And where did you come from? And that felt like such a beautiful moment for her to think about this and say, like, you can advocate for yourself. And that's something I've been hoping and dreaming for her. So yeah, so to have that opportunity to be able to model that, and not in a way that, like, I'm not looking for her to be a resource for me, but I sometimes share things with her in a way that she can understand, um, because also she does feel my energy. And I tell her, look, this is what I'm going through and it has nothing to do with you. And I want you to know that I love you and I'm here for you, but I'm human too, and I do go through stuff too. So I've also been painting. This came to me as a surprise, and it has been like this deeply nourishing practice of I just sit down. It started with I had a feng shui consultation for my home, and a wonderful feng shui practitioner came in and she gave me some recommendations saying, like, this corner of your home needs some more fire. And I was like, what is a fire element? And I just started to paint pomegranates. And it's just so simple. I've made pomegranates with ceramic before, which was like deeply, deeply satisfying to me to create something physical with my hands, the shape of the pomegranates, the weight of them, just super nourishing. But this painting is even simpler because I'm just using these little postcards or sometimes just slightly bigger paper, and I use only two colors, red and gold. And there's something about the simplicity of it, the round shape of the pomegranate. Drawing that is just super satisfying. And it doesn't have to be a perfect circle. Pomegranates are not perfect circles, and neither is life. And it's just so beautiful to make things imperfectly. And then I put the red color in, and then I put the gold in, and it just becomes something beautiful and a little fiery and just energizing. And I find I go to a different place as I'm painting pomegranates. Just the simplicity of it. I mean, white paper, two colors, and me, and two brushes maybe, and the satisfying form, taking my time with it. It dries, I wait for it, and then I do the gold, and I have zero expectations. In fact, I've been just giving them out as gifts to friends and family, which they seem to enjoy. So yeah, I've been doing that. The other thing I've been doing since February is Well, January and February is going deeper into hot and cold, specifically hot and cold exposure for your body. Um, there are there's a lot of research and science out there that talks about the benefits of saunas and hot exercise practices for your body, especially for women going into menopause. So women older than 35, which might seem young to you, but that's where more often than not the perimenopause starts. And that's where I am at 45, moving towards that next transition. And I want to get to that next transition with a lot of love for myself. The hot Pilates that I do, it has been super gratifying. I go there, there are these beautiful um, people who show up for the class, and no one is perfect, and they're just there to feel their bodies. And usually the class starts slow, and then I'm like, oh, is this gonna work? And then at the end of it, I'm like dead because it has been so intense and there are weights involved. The room is hot, so you get a full sweat and sauna effect. um, and the cold part of it has been surprising to me too. I just got interested in it, and I purchased this. How do I describe it? It's this aluminum um, tub that I filled with water, and I live in a pretty cold climate, so it stays usually 40 degrees or below Fahrenheit. So if you're not in a Fahrenheit country, that would be like 5, 6 degrees Celsius and below, which is what you want for a cold exposure. And my daughter named my cold tub, which all I did was I purchased it in a Tractor Supply store. I think on or around my birthday. So January 24th, just when Pluto went into Aquarius, I purchased Delilah. My daughter named her Delilah. So Delilah has been sitting outside on the side of my house, and she has a cover. I filled her up, and I went in a couple times. Of course, you go in and the top layer freezes over. You have to like break the ice and then get yourself in. You do need protective hand and footwear from neoprene, which is the substance that divers wear. And you only stay in there for about a minute, max two. You go in and out, and somehow magically, both with the hot practices and the cold practices, um, I found this sense of like a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of achiness in my body, a little bit of inflammation just goes away. Just goes away. It's just magic. And I live by the Atlantic Ocean. I tried doing a community cold dip in the ocean. I have to say that was not my favorite. Um, and I do hope to talk about the cold plunges. I have a special guest for you in the podcast that's going to be coming up. But let's just say I'm still intrigued by them. We're going into spring and summer, so I'll probably just do the ocean dipping then. But I hope to come back to it all next October 2024, and do it more deliberately and more intentionally, more in a scheduled way, especially with Delilah, who I came to appreciate more after like a 5 foot super cold wave hit me in the ocean. where where I realized, oh, Delilah is just stationary. I can go in and out. That feels a little bit better to me. So letting myself rest more during these activities of things that I'm honestly just what we were talking about at the beginning, things that I'm drawn to. Painting, I got interested in human design a little bit more. I read and watched a few things about that, and just following where life wants to take me. Um, and just taking care of my body, like deep care of my body and nervous system, working with a lot of guidance at this time. To me, that's important, just sitting with my body and then receiving the guidance, the messages. I'm clairaudient and clairvoyant and clairsentient. So hearing those messages, hearing the confirmations about my choices, and leaning into not just my, taking care of my body, the self-care, but also my guidance and intuitive tools. Intuitive knowing has been important. Um, I think where I want to go next is, let me take a sip of my tea. I want to tell you about my book, because that's the other thing that has been happening behind the scenes. And I've been on this journey of being with my book. The book is about crystal healing and deep love of crystals, deep love of crystal healing practice that leads to a deep love of yourself and all life, and appreciating and feeling into the mystery of it all. And I've been writing and writing all throughout last year. And finally, towards the end of January, I realized that I was about to finish the last chapter. There are 5 chapters and an introduction, and then, at the end, some bits. But the 5 main chapters, I realized I was getting close to finishing them. And this was like 3 days before the Leo full moon in January. I think it was January 24, 25, something like that. And right after my birthday. So as I realized I'm getting close to the finish line, I freaked out a little bit, and I didn't know why. So the last 3 days, I was writing and crying and crying and writing and writing and crying. Just that last chapter ended up being just deeper and deeper and deeper for me. And on the full moon day, I finished it. I went to bed and I couldn't sleep. And I was just crying in bed. Like, it's 2 a.m. and I'm crying. My poor husband is trying to sleep. So I just got myself up. I went to my healing room, healing office, and I was like, okay, what's happening? What is this about? And I started to tap and meditate. I pulled a few crystals and I tapped and meditated. And finally, I was in between my crying and just being with this, I saw an image of my grandmother from my maternal side, who didn't know how to read and write. I saw then an image of my mother, who had to go to a boarding school at the age of 11 because there was no middle school in her village. And that was a huge, deep trauma for her to be able to have school and have education. She had to move away. Um, and then I saw my father, who really loved poetry, used to collect poems. I think he wrote some of his own poetry, but one of his teachers directed him to study biology and become a biology teacher instead of becoming a literature teacher, which he would have enjoyed a lot more. So he had to give up that dream and letting go of his creative side for the more practical. And then I saw, one by one, all the times that my creativity wasn't seen, cherished, appreciated, encouraged by a whole variety of different factors, inner or outer, or ignored, or diminished or just stifled. And this includes me too. And it was just, the putting the dot on the last page was like, was a deep healing. And it feels like a deep healing for me and for all my ancestors, for my family, and an honoring too. And I have no idea, like I'm now putting the finishing touches on the book. It still needs to go to my editor and then come back, and it'll be edited, and it'll probably be out sometime in June or July this year, but I have no idea how you will receive it. I don't know. And a part of me is like, again, it comes back to that definition of success. Part of me knows that I've given everything I could to this book, and through this book, each and every little page, little droplet of it came to me as channeled information. I had this practice of writing every single weekday, even if it's a dot or a word or a couple sentences or a couple pages. So I wrote when I was tired. I wrote when I didn't feel like it. I wrote when I did feel like it. I kept taking notes about what I wanted and needed to write. And I showed up for it, and I showed up for it, and I showed up for it. So it has felt beautiful and healing to be able to show up for that part of me that needed to create this, that needed to bring this out into the world. And once you do something like that, I mean, it's like pouring love. It's like feeding a plant or a child. I know in my heart that once she comes out, she'll have a life of her own with you and for you. And I'm just so deeply grateful for that. I'm grateful for that. And it's been all about this honoring this call within me. Like, no one's telling me to write a book, but I heard it over and over when I visited Egypt. You got to write a book, and then another, and then another. And I've had several intuitive practitioners tell me, you got to write. And then they wouldn't tell me like what it would do. But I think part of me knows and feels into it now. And it's just been so beyond transformational in a way that I can't even begin to express and fully understand myself. But I'm here with it. I'm here for it. And I'm just hoping and willing to show up for this book for as long as needed, to be able to get it to you, to your hands, because that's the other part of it. Is I think it's needed. I think it's wished for in the world, by this world, by you. Like, you have been a part of it, even though it may not feel like that to you. Like, there's something in the collective, like, that just put this dream and energy and this spark in me and brought me here to this time in my life where all the resources, elements, and timing, all of it aligned, and I showed up for it, and it just came out beautifully. all of that coming together has just been beautiful. Whew. So I will talk about her more as I get near letting her meet you. I'm sure that's going to be another beautiful ride, a beautiful process. So as I'm here with you, what I am feeling is this invitation into new possibilities. So I've been cutting back on certain things, pulling my energy back, and allowing myself to simplify, allowing myself to prioritize. And now I'm in this place of, okay, what are the possibilities? What does life, what does the universe want and need me to do, want and need me to open up to? And allowing the soul of my healing business to lead me, the souls of the people who, like you, listen to what I have to say or whatever comes through me. Um, and allowing myself to feel into these new possibilities. Like, it doesn't have to be that I'm going to be doing something new tomorrow or the next month, but I'm here, I'm listening. I think that's the best way of thinking. I'm reviewing, building, I am being and becoming, and I'm listening on what the next steps are for that becoming journey. Like, for instance, I already know what my next 2 books are going to be. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of one after the other, one foot after the other. And there's a piece of continuing to learn and grow in there. And I'm at this point where I really don't see myself. I mean, I shouldn't, speak too soon, but I'm really wanting to take a break from being a student of things. I just feel very fulfilled with what I've learned on a being a student basis so far. But wants to happen is more of a synthesis, and again, a weaving of what I already know and what I'm already able to tune into and bring in from the universe and see what that becomes. And that might become, like I said, more books, more offerings. It might become more teaching or more holding space for healers like me. I don't exactly know how or what at this point, but I am open to it. I am here for it. I'm doing the things that I'm led and guided to do every single day. I'm showing up for me and my family and my friendships and the relationships that are dear to me, including you, including this connection. This is very sacred to me that you're here listening. And I'm here for being and becoming my unique expression. I feel we're all pieces of art. We're all like evolving expressions of life, juice, and energy. And I don't feel the need to call myself one thing or another. Yes, I do call myself a healer, a writer, and a crystal healing teacher, but I don't see them as like really defining things. I see them as all one because my goal has always been, okay, what can I heal in myself? What am I learning as I'm healing? And how can I make this learning, this teaching, this wisdom available for another? And how can my nourished, grounded self be there to support someone else, a group of someone else's in the case of my membership, as they go through their own healing journeys? So that's what I'm called to do, and that's what I'm here for. And the way and the shape that takes is really secondary to me just wanting um, and knowing that I'm on this path of healing myself and others. I want to thank you for listening. I know this went on. I don't even know how long, but you've been here. Yay. Thank you for being here. I truly appreciate you. And I just want to honor where you are in your healing journey. And I want you to know that no matter where you are, in the highs, the lows, the middle, the plateau, or somewhere down below in the darkness of the underworld, I want you to know that you're here for a reason. And I invite you to pay attention, just like I've been going through my own journey with you these last 3 months, and even going back to October. I think it's important to pay attention to those repeating patterns, repeating invitations for lessons, um, and repeating realizations of what is knocking on your door. And the way you know that is it's just uncomfortable. Whatever life is asking you to learn and be with is going to be uncomfortable. That's the reality of it most of the time. And then some of us have the other side of the lesson, which I'm feeling into as well, which is, can you be with the comfort? Can you be with the joy? Can you open up to those things? Which is, again, for some of us, like me, is going to be uncomfortable to open up to more joy and life force and good things and good relationships that make you feel nourished, that make you feel seen, heard, understood in the way that you need them to. So hang in there. I'm here hanging in there with you. And if you do need some healing support, check out, I have like a ton of free resources. You can go to my website, adropofom.com, adropofom.com. There are free healings there, free EFT tappings. And I mean, you could try my membership. It's super affordable. It's called Chakra Bliss Vault membership. It offers a ton of healing resources, from energetic wound healing to crystal healing to really delicious guided meditations to EFT tapping to now I am featuring some amazing, I mean, just amazing guest healers, which I think is adding such a richness to the experience. So you don't get to just experience me as a healer, but you get to dabble in other methodologies, other things, which is my way of saying, like, I don't have to know everything. I don't have to learn everything, but I get to enjoy those things. Like, I just invited this amazing Kundalini healer teacher and who did an amazing meditation, and I'm like, that's wonderful. Like, I don't need to know all there is to know about Kundalini teachings, but I can enjoy them, and I hope you get to enjoy them with me. So check those out. Thank you so much. I would love to know if this is bringing up something in you, if you've been working with certain things again the last 3 months, or the last, longer than that are coming up for you. And just know that more support, more healing, more deepening is always available to you. And I'm here for it. I am here for it, and I am here for you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to Conversations with Healers. If this episode spoke to you in any way, please leave a review or comment, like or love it, and share it with others in your life. This is a true soul love project from my heart to yours. I really appreciate your help in spreading the word. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and check out other episodes to listen to some extraordinary healing stories and advice. Have a beautiful and wonderful day.